All right. So are you ready to like really dive deep today?
Oh, yeah. Always.
We're going to be getting into some really fascinating stuff
Yeah.
about human behavior.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to have some pretty practical applications, I hope,
Hmm.
for everyone listening. Um,
Totally.
so we were talking about Chase Hughes, of course.
Yeah.
And he's this guy who's kind of like, I don't know, he's like a human behavior, like ninja.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like the real deal for sure.
Yeah. And we are going to be pulling from his book, 6-Minute X-Ray. You had a chance to check
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I've actually read that a couple times. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Cool. So we'll be drawing from that.
Yeah.
And then also some other material that he teaches that's not necessarily from that book.
Right.
But one of the
But that
things,
kind of goes together.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things that I think is so,
I mean, it's all him.
yeah, it's all from the same brain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it should all connect together. So one of the things that I think is really helpful about his approach to understanding people is he talks about the laws of human behavior.
Yes.
And those are kind of like these fundamental principles
Mm.
that he thinks that sort of like undergirds,
Like through lines.
yeah, the through lines for how people,
For all of it.
yeah, how people act and like why they do the things that they do.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so cool about it. It's not just, random observations or whatever. It's like he actually gives you like a framework that you can use to understand things, which I
Yeah.
think is super valuable.
Yeah, totally. So,
You can apply it.
yeah, so let's break those down. So he lays out 4 different laws of human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one is that everyone is suffering and insecure.
Yes. Which sounds really harsh,
Right.
right? When you just hear it out loud.
Yeah.
But it's
When you just say it like that, it's like, wow.
yeah, but it's
Uh,
everyone's miserable. Not necessarily.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
more that we all have this like,
So is it more?
yeah, it is.
So is it more like nuanced than that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's more like we all have this underlying need to like be accepted, socially.
Yeah.
And it goes way back. Back in the day, like if you got kicked out of your tribe,
Oh, yeah.
you were dead.
Yeah.
Like you were not going to survive.
Yeah.
So we have this like primal need
Yeah.
to be like part of the group and to be accepted. And
That's sense.
that can manifest in all kinds of ways,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean everyone's walking around depressed or whatever, but
No.
it does mean that we're all kind of like seeking that approval
Okay.
and trying to avoid rejection, even if it's subconscious.
Yeah. So it's like even though we don't face that like
Yeah.
that same threat of like death,
Right.
if we're rejected from
It's still there.
our group today,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like that's still like kind of motivating us.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Okay. Interesting. So is that why then people put up facades?
Exactly.
If you're trying to,
Is that like related? Yeah, it's like we're trying to project this image of like having it all together,
Yeah.
get successful, being happy,
right.
when like underneath
Yeah.
we might be struggling with all kinds of things.
Right. Okay.
Doubts and insecurities and all that stuff.
I feel like we
Yeah.
kind of already knew that,
Yeah.
but it's interesting to think about it in terms of like
Oh,
an actual,
that's like a law.
yeah, like a law of human behavior.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is like, this actually happens. This isn't just like
It's not just random.
this isn't just like a random observation.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is
That's
like
it.
actually a thing.
Exactly.
It's happened. Okay. So then that kind of perfectly segues into the next law, which is,
Well, it does, doesn't it?
yeah, which is that everyone is wearing a mask.
Yes.
And I feel like that's one of those things that like,
We all know it,
yeah, we all kind of like,
but we don't talk about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we know it, but we don't say it.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating to see it laid out
Yeah.
as like this universal principle.
Right.
So can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's basically this idea that we all present this carefully crafted image to the world,
Yeah.
right? And he actually uses the word persona,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, which is from Jung. But,
Oh, okay.
it's
You
this
didn't know that.
yeah, but it's this idea that
Right.
we present this like this face to the world.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily bad.
Right.
Right? Like it can help us to navigate social situations. It can help us to fit in, to connect with people,
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key is to be aware that it exists
Yeah.
both in ourselves and in others.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. It's like, yeah, we all are doing this to some extent.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because in the next law he says is that everyone pretends to not wear a mask.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
That's so true.
so we all know we're wearing a mask,
Yeah.
but we're pretending we're not.
Right.
Like, why?
Because it's too vulnerable. Like, if someone just came up to you and was like, hey,
Yeah.
I can see the mask you're wearing, that would feel awful.
Yeah, it would be like...
It would feel like an
uh,
attack.
It would be like so...
They're like seeing through me.
Yeah, it'd be like so personal and like...
Totally.
Yeah.
So we kind of collectively agree
Yeah.
to just pretend that the masks aren't there,
That's so interesting. Okay.
even though we all know they are.
Yeah. Like everyone's in on the joke,
Exactly.
but we're not going to acknowledge it.
We're all playing along.
Yeah. We're all just going to play along. Okay. And then his fourth law. This one gets me every time.
Yeah.
And I think it's so insightful,
Yeah.
is that everyone is a product of childhood suffering and reward.
Yes.
And
Which, again, sounds kind of intense.
it does. Yeah. It's like, what do you mean by that? Like,
Well, think about it this way.
yeah.
Imagine you're driving home from work. You've had a long day. You're stressed out.
Okay.
And some guy in a huge truck cuts you off,
Right.
flips you the bird,
Yep.
like the whole 9 yards.
Tailgating you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. What's your reaction?
Oh, I'm probably...
What's pissed?
Yeah, I'm probably cursing, like, under my breath,
Yes.
at least.
Okay.
Road rage.
Now let's take a step back
Oh.
and look at that guy.
Okay.
Through the lens of this law,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he was bullied relentlessly as a kid.
Oh.
Maybe he had an abusive parent.
Oh.
Maybe he learned that aggression was the only way to get what he wanted.
Okay, yeah.
Suddenly, his behavior,
Yeah.
while still not okay,
Right.
becomes a lot more understandable.
Yeah. Like, it gives you...
Doesn't it?
Like, it's like a reframing.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, okay, this doesn't excuse it,
Right.
but it, like,
But it
helps me understand, like,
Yeah.
why,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it's coming from.
Yeah, where it's coming from. And, like, what
Oh.
might be motivating it.
And that is, like, the seed of empathy,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Like, by looking past that surface behavior
Mm-hmm.
and considering the underlying motivations and experiences
Yeah.
that are shaping a person,
Yeah.
we can actually start to feel more compassion.
Right. Like, you can still say
Yeah.
that behavior's not okay.
Totally.
But I can...
But you can understand where it's coming
Yeah,
from.
yeah. But I can understand why it might be happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's super insightful. So now we have these 4 laws as our bedrock,
Mhm.
like our foundation for understanding human behavior. But he doesn't stop there, does he?
He does not.
Okay. So
He does. So he also gives us
more tools.
Yeah, he gives
That's
us
what-
more tools. So he gives us these 4 different ways of seeing people,
Mm.
and it's like
Oh, it's
you can
the
put on
same
these
axes. Yeah.
like these different lenses,
Different lenses.
and you're trying to like
interpret someone's actions.
And he actually uses that same example
Oh, that's cool.
with the guy in the
Yeah.
truck
Yeah.
to illustrate each lens.
So walk us through those.
Okay, so the first lens is people are broken.
Oh.
And this is like that knee-jerk reaction where you're just like, what is wrong with this person?
Yeah.
Why are they acting this way?
Okay.
You're triggered.
So it's like very emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Very
yeah.
emotional.
Then you want to like correct it.
You want to correct it. You want
Yeah.
to retaliate.
Yeah. Or like fight back or something.
Yeah. It's very fight or flight.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I've definitely been there.
Yeah. We all have.
Yeah.
But then we move to the second lens. And that's people are different.
Okay.
And here you might still have some emotional reaction,
Uh-huh.
but you're less likely to take action.
Okay.
You know, it's more like a live and let live kind of thing
Yeah. So you're recognizing that they're different.
from you.
Yes.
But you don't need to like,
you don't need to engage or fix it or anything.
Right.
It's just like, okay, they're just different.
yeah. Cool.
And then we come to people are facts.
Oh, interesting.
So this is more detached,
Okay.
almost scientific,
Okay.
where you just accept their behavior as like an unchangeable fact of nature.
So it's like,
It's like watching a storm.
yeah, it's like, okay, this is just
Yeah.
what's happening. And
Yeah.
I can't,
You might not like it,
yeah,
but you can't really change it.
yeah. I can't control it.
So
So
you just accept it?
I imagine that leads to less stress.
Oh, it can.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you're not,
By accepting things as they are.
you're not,
Mm.
you can
More
avoid it.
caught up in
Yeah.
emotional turmoil.
Yeah. You're just accepting it as like,
Exactly.
okay, this is a fact.
Yeah.
And then finally we arrive at people are reasons.
Okay.
And this is like the most
So this is the most evolved lens in
Yeah.
his view.
Yes. This is where you see that behavior
Okay.
as a product of his past experiences,
Oh, yeah.
his motivations, his struggles.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is where empathy.
Yeah, this is where empathy comes in big time.
Yeah. Like really takes center stage.
Exactly.
Okay. So instead of just being like, this is a fact.
Right.
It's like, okay,
It's like, okay, what led to
there's
this?
a reason
Yeah.
why this is happening.
And you're not condoning the bad behavior,
Right.
but you're acknowledging the human being behind it,
Yeah. Okay.
right? The wounds that they might be carrying,
Yeah.
the unmet needs that are driving their actions.
Okay.
And that opens the door for much deeper understanding
Right.
and connection.
Yeah. Totally. All right. So we've got these powerful laws and lenses
Yeah.
for understanding people. But then Hughes throws in this concept
Oh, yeah.
of animal behavior profiling.
Right.
And he actually uses animal archetypes
Mm-hmm.
to help us understand
Yes.
human behavioral patterns.
Yeah.
That's
one of my favorite things.
How does that work?
Well, it's actually
Sounds kind of out there.
Yeah, it sounds really weird.
Yeah.
But it's so effective because
Yeah.
we all have a basic understanding of how animals behave,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like, we know that a porcupine is prickly
Yeah.
and a wolf is vigilant.
Yeah.
And so he just maps those traits
Yeah.
onto human behaviors.
Oh, wow.
And it creates this framework that's
Yeah.
super insightful
Okay.
and also easy to grasp.
Okay. So what kind of animal
Mhm.
archetypes are we talking about here?
Well, first we have the porcupine.
Oh, the porcupine.
Okay. As the name suggests.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell us about the porcupine.
So the porcupine is all about those defense mechanisms.
Okay.
Right. Think about it. When a porcupine feels threatened, what does it do?
It raises its quills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It puts up those quills.
To protect itself.
Yeah. To create a barrier
Okay.
between itself and the perceived danger.
Yeah.
Right.
So are we talking about people who are just like naturally grumpy?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing the signs
Okay.
of someone who might be using defensiveness
Okay.
as a way to protect themselves
Okay.
from getting hurt.
Okay. So you put up walls.
Yeah. They might put up walls, avoid vulnerability,
Okay.
use sarcasm as a shield,
Right.
but remember, beneath those prickly defenses,
Yeah.
there's often a core of sensitivity
Okay.
and a fear of being hurt.
Yeah. So how do you approach a porcupine then without,
That's the question.
without getting poked?
Right.
Is
Well,
that possible?
yeah, I think so. I think the key is patience
Okay.
and understanding,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Like, don't take their prickliness personally.
Yeah.
Remember what we talked about. Everyone's wearing a mask
Mm.
and pretending not to.
Right.
So if you approach them with gentleness. Yeah.
And genuine curiosity.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by the depth
Oh.
and vulnerability they reveal
Oh,
once they feel safe enough to trust you.
Okay. So it's like you can get through those
Yeah,
quills.
they can count.
But you gotta be.
If you're patient
Yeah, you gotta be patient
and understand.
and careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right. I am curious about the Chihuahuas.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
Chihuahuas. This is a fun one.
Yeah.
So think about those tiny dogs with big barks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Always ready to defend their territory.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a patch of sidewalk.
Yeah.
They're loud, assertive,
Yeah.
sometimes aggressive.
Yeah.
But here's the key. Their behavior is often rooted in insecurity
Oh, okay.
and a need to overcompensate
Okay.
for their perceived smallness.
Oh, so it's like they're trying to
Exactly.
project this image of power,
Totally.
but they actually feel really small.
Yeah.
They might be quick to anger, dominate conversations, resort to personal attacks
Okay.
when they feel threatened.
Yeah. But if you understand their motivations,
Yeah.
you can kind of
You can
avoid getting caught
Yeah.
in their whirlwind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So how do you handle a Chihuahua then without getting bitten? I mean,
Good question.
do you just let them bark it out? Or is that...
I don't think ignoring them completely is the best strategy,
Okay.
but I think what you can do
Yeah.
is acknowledge their feelings
Okay.
without getting defensive.
Yeah.
Like you could say something like,
Huh?
I hear that you're frustrated.
Okay. So you're validating...
Validates their emotions
Yeah.
without feeding into the aggression.
Okay. That makes sense.
And
the key is to
you're right.
remain calm
Remain calm and assertive,
and assertive. Okay.
establishing clear boundaries
Right.
without escalating the situation.
Yeah. Don't like
Right.
try to fight them.
Don't stoop to their level.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So we've tackled the porcupine.
Yeah.
We've tackled the chihuahua.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the turtle.
The turtle.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm imagining someone
Yeah.
who retreats into their shell at the slightest hint of trouble.
You got it.
Okay.
The turtle is all about withdrawal
Okay.
and avoidance
Yeah.
when conflict arises or
Yeah.
they feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Their instinct is to retreat into their shell,
Okay.
hoping the problem will magically disappear.
Right.
You know,
Well, there.
they might become quiet,
Yeah.
emotionally distant,
Mhm.
even physically remove themselves
Right.
from the situation.
Yeah. Masters of the silent treatment.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
But it's important to understand
Yeah.
that their withdrawal isn't necessarily a personal attack
Okay.
or a sign of disinterest.
Oh,
It's their coping mechanism for dealing with stress and discomfort.
right.
They might need time.
So if you're dealing with a turtle,
Yeah,
patience is key.
patience is key. Don't try to force them out of their shell.
Yeah. Okay.
That will only make them retreat further.
Yeah.
Give them the space they need
Okay.
and let them know that you're there for them
Yeah.
when they're ready to talk.
Okay. So what about the rabbit? Are turtles and rabbits
Good question.
kind of similar in that, like,
Yeah, they are.
they both want to avoid
Yeah.
conflict?
Totally. There are definitely overlaps
Yeah.
between the turtle and the rabbit, but there's
Well,
a subtle
Yeah.
yet important distinction.
Okay. What is it?
So the turtle withdraws and hopes the problem goes away.
Right.
The rabbit's instinct is to flee,
Okay.
to escape the situation altogether.
So it's like more active.
It's more active avoidance
Yeah.
than passive withdrawal.
Okay. So how do you
You know,
keep a rabbit from bolting?
that is the question.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, create a sense of safety and trust,
Yeah.
right? Avoid cornering them
Okay.
or putting pressure on them.
Okay.
Give them options.
Okay.
And reassure them that they have control over this situation,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like you might say something like, hey, I understand if this is too much right now.
Okay.
We can talk about it later when
Yeah.
you're ready.
Yeah. So it's about giving them a sense of agency
Yes.
rather than
Instead of making them feel trapped.
trapping them.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's shift gears. Talk about the fox.
Okay. The fox.
This one is
A little more cunning.
a little more strategic, a little more cunning.
Yeah.
The fox is intelligent,
Yeah.
resourceful,
Mm.
and always thinking a few steps ahead.
Okay.
They're masters of social navigation,
Right.
able to read people and situations with remarkable accuracy.
Yeah.
They might use charm,
Mm-hmm.
wit,
Right.
or even manipulation
Okay.
to get what they want.
Right. Yeah. So they're like masterminds.
Kinda.
They're definitely strategic thinkers,
Yeah.
always assessing risks and rewards,
Mm-hmm.
calculating their moves,
Right?
often charismatic and persuasive.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that their ultimate goal is self-preservation
Okay.
and advancement.
Right. So how do you
Okay.
deal with a fox then?
That's a good question. I think
Do you have
it's not necessarily about outsmarting them,
No.
but rather about being aware of their tactics and
Wow.
setting clear boundaries.
Right.
You know,
So don't be afraid to.
yeah, don't be afraid to question their motives.
Yeah.
Ask for clarification. You know,
Mhm.
remember, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more you understand their game,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be to
Yeah.
navigate their maneuvers.
Okay. So be observant
Be observant.
and assertive with the fox.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Now let's move on to the wolf. I'm picturing like a lone wolf
Yeah.
who's like
Yeah, very independent.
fiercely independent,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, they can be.
Okay.
So the wolf is all about vigilance,
Okay.
awareness, and self-reliance.
Okay.
They're constantly scanning their environment
Okay.
for potential threats,
Right.
assessing risks,
Yeah.
and protecting their territory.
So they're like
Yeah, they're like the guardians
the guardians of the pack.
of the pack.
Of the
Exactly.
pack.
They might come across
Yeah.
as aloof
Right.
or distrustful,
Yeah.
but that's because they've learned to be cautious
Okay.
and protect themselves.
Yeah.
They've often experienced hardship
Mm-hmm.
or betrayal in the past,
Ooh.
which has made them wary
Right.
of letting people get too close.
Yeah. So how do you approach a wolf then without getting your tail between your legs?
I think building trust is crucial with a wolf.
Okay.
Be genuine, be consistent,
Mm-hmm.
improve your reliability.
Okay.
Don't try to force intimacy or push them to open up
That's it.
before they're ready.
Yeah.
respect their boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and let them set the pace
Okay.
for the relationship.
Yeah. So slow and steady
Slow and steady
wins the race.
wins the wolf's trust.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We've got 2 more archetypes to go.
Yes, we do.
We've got the sheep and we've got the puppy.
Okay.
And I'm very curious.
Yeah. Those are fascinating ones. See how these fit into the mix.
Yeah, I'm curious too.
So the sheep,
Yeah.
as you might imagine, is all about the flock.
Okay.
They crave belonging,
Yeah.
safety and security in numbers.
Right. So they're like team players.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ultimate team players.
Fair.
Loyal, agreeable,
Mm-hmm.
always willing to help.
Yeah.
They thrive in collaborative environments.
Right.
And value harmony above all else.
Yeah. Are there any like downsides?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Every archetype has its shadow side.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah.
for the sheep, their desire to please and fit in.
Can sometimes lead them to suppress their own needs
No.
and follow the crowd,
Okay.
even when it's not in their best interest.
So they need to learn how to stand up for themselves a little bit.
Yeah. They might need a little encouragement
Yeah.
to assert your own opinion.
Yeah, to like use their voice.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
It's about helping them find that balance
Right.
between their need for belonging
Yeah.
and their individual voice.
Right. Okay, so the sheep.
Yeah.
Now what about the puppy?
Oh, the puppy.
The heart melter.
I know, the
No.
heart melter. I'm picturing those big innocent eyes
Oh.
and a wagging tail.
Yeah.
Like,
The puppy is all about projecting innocence, vulnerability,
yeah.
and a disarming charm.
Yeah.
They're naturally trusting
I love
and
that.
open to the world,
Hmm.
often seeing the good in everyone.
So they're the optimists.
They are.
Yeah.
They definitely have a bright and sunny disposition.
Right.
But-
But that can be a little dangerous sometimes too, right?
It can, their innocence and naivete can
Uh.
sometimes make them vulnerable
Uh.
to manipulation or exploitation.
So how do you protect
Right.
a puppy then without like dimming their shine?
Yeah, that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
It's about empowering them to develop discernment and boundaries, encourage them to be cautious
Yeah.
without crushing their spirit.
Right. So it's a balancing act.
It is a delicate balance.
Yeah. Of like nurturing their kindness.
Yeah.
But also teaching them to be savvy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about helping them navigate the world with both their heart and their head.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this whole system is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like having this secret decoder ring for understanding people.
It is.
It's amazing.
It's a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that these archetypes
Yeah.
are not meant to be rigid labels.
Right.
You know, people are complex. We all have elements of different animals within us.
Totally.
Right. So it's about recognizing patterns
Yeah.
and understanding tendencies,
Uh-huh.
not putting people in boxes.
Right. You don't want to just be like, oh, you're a chihuahua.
Exactly.
I know exactly how you're going to act.
Yeah.
You're never going to surprise me.
Exactly.
And
It's
I'm-
more nuanced than that.
Yeah, it's more about like,
Yeah.
okay, there's like,
It's a framework.
yeah, there's these patterns and tendencies,
Right.
but it's not like 100%.
It's not absolute.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
But now,
what I'm really curious about is how do we
that's the big question.
how do we take all of this?
How do we apply it
Yeah, how do we apply all of this?
in real life?
Yeah, to real life.
So it's not just about analyzing people from a distance.
Right.
It's about using these insights to become more effective communicators,
Okay.
more empathetic friends,
Hmm.
and more skillful navigators of
Yeah.
all those tricky human interactions.
Okay, so less about judging people
Yeah.
based on their animal.
Right.
And more about using this understanding to connect
Yes,
with them.
to connect with them on a deeper level.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So for example, let's say you're dealing with someone
Okay.
who's like exhibiting
Yeah.
classic Chihuahua behavior.
Okay.
You know?
Loud, assertive, maybe a bit aggressive.
Yeah.
Armed with this knowledge, you can recognize
Yeah.
that this behavior might stem from a place of insecurity
Okay.
and a deep-seated need for control.
Right.
So instead of reacting defensively
Mhm.
or getting pulled into a power struggle,
Yeah.
you can choose to respond with empathy.
So it's about seeing past the bark to the
Exactly.
scared little dog underneath.
Exactly.
Right.
By recognizing the fear that might be driving their behavior,
Yeah.
you can shift your communication style.
Okay.
Instead of meeting aggression with aggression,
Right.
you can try to de-escalate the situation,
Yeah.
create a sense of safety, and address their underlying need for reassurance and control.
So does that apply to all the archetypes?
Totally.
Okay.
Think about the turtle
Right.
who retreats into their shell
Right.
at any sign of conflict.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to pry them open
Yeah.
or getting frustrated by their silence,
Right.
you can practice patience and gentleness,
Mm-hmm.
create a safe space for them to open up at their own pace.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the sheep?
The sheep.
Always seeking approval, following the crowd.
Yeah.
How can we use this to help them?
Well, we can gently encourage them
Okay.
to develop their own voice
Yeah.
and assert their needs more confidently,
Right.
to find that balance between belonging and individuality.
Okay. So it's about like recognizing the strengths and weaknesses
Exactly.
of each archetype.
Right. And tailoring our communication style to create more harmonious interactions.
Yeah. So we're not trying to change people
No.
or like
We're not trying to fix them.
force them into a different mold.
Right.
It's about meeting them where they are.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
But this isn't just about decoding others,
It is not.
is it?
This is also about turning the lens inward.
Oh.
Self-awareness is crucial here.
Yeah.
Hughes encourages us to identify
Mm-hmm.
which animal archetype resonates most strongly with us.
Oh, that's a good question.
What are our default behaviors?
Yeah.
Our defense mechanisms?
Yeah.
The unmet needs driving our actions.
This is where it gets,
This is where it gets juicy.
yeah, a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
It's about confronting our shadows,
Right.
recognizing those parts of ourselves we might not like to admit to, the fears, the insecurities,
Yeah.
those less than flattering motivations
Yeah.
that shape our behavior.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
But isn't it also about recognizing our strengths?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Each animal archetype has its own unique gifts.
Right.
You know, the wolf's vigilance
Yeah.
is an asset
Yeah.
in situations that require keen observation and strategic thinking.
Right.
The fox's cunning
Mm-hmm.
can be a tool for navigating complex situations and achieving goals.
Yeah.
The sheep's loyalty and collaborative spirit create strong bonds.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the full spectrum of our animal nature, both the light and the shadow,
Right.
and integrating those aspects into a more balanced and authentic self.
So it's about understanding
It is.
like all those parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
It is.
Yeah, both for understanding others
Yeah.
and for ourselves.
And for ourselves, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We went from basic laws of behavior
Yeah.
to animal archetypes,
Right.
and I feel like I have this whole new set of tools.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Yeah, to understand the people in my life.
Right.
And myself.
And yourself.
Yeah, so what's like one final thought?
Yeah. What's the takeaway?
Yeah, what's the takeaway here for everyone listening?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that everyone you meet is carrying their own story, their own set of experiences that shape their behavior.
Right.
So approach them with curiosity,
Mhm.
kindness, and a genuine desire to understand the why behind their actions.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
You might be surprised
Yeah.
by the connections you forge
Yeah.
and the insights you gain about yourself along the way.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of human behavior.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting with the amazing complex creatures we call humans. Okay, so we've spent like the last hour talking about
Yeah, we've covered a
a
lot.
lot of stuff.
We really have.
We've gone from the laws
Yeah.
to the lenses
The lenses
to the animal.
to the animals.
And I'm curious, like,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway here?
Yeah, how do we put this all together?
Yeah, how do
Yeah,
we
and something useful.
how do we actually use this
Yeah.
in our lives?
I think the key is to remember that these are tools,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They're not meant to be like
Not weapons?
weapons or labels or
No.
anything like that.
Yeah.
They're meant to help us understand people better
Okay.
and to communicate more effectively.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's
it's about
where
connection.
that's-
It's about connection.
Yeah, not judgment.
Not judgment, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so for example,
Yeah.
let's say you're dealing with someone who's being really difficult,
Okay.
right? Like they're constantly complaining,
Mm-hmm.
or they're always negative,
Okay.
or they're just like a drain to be around,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Instead of just writing them off
Yeah.
as a toxic person,
Right.
you can try to understand them through the lens of these tools.
Okay.
Right. So like what animal?
Maybe they're a porcupine
Okay.
who's putting up those defenses because they've been hurt in the past. Okay, so instead of taking it personally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can try to approach them with more compassion
Yeah.
and understanding.
Yeah. And see that maybe those quills are there
Yeah.
for a reason.
Exactly.
Well,
Or maybe they're a chihuahua
yeah.
who's just really insecure
Right.
and overcompensating.
And they're barking a lot.
Yeah, they're barking a lot.
Yeah.
But underneath that bark,
Yeah.
they just want to feel safe and in control.
Yeah. So meet their need for control, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by understanding their underlying motivations,
Yeah.
you can adjust your communication style
Yeah.
and actually build a stronger relationship.
Yeah. So I'm hearing like a lot of emphasis on empathy here.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Empathy is key
Like, really?
to all of this.
Yeah. Seeing the world through other people's eyes.
Yeah, and not just seeing it,
Yeah.
but actually feeling it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like trying to feel what they might be feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, empathy is huge.
It sounds like it's not just about these tools.
No.
It's also about, like, the approach.
Yeah. It's about the mindset.
Yeah, the mindset.
That you bring to it.
Yeah, of really wanting to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And not just to analyze or judge.
Yeah. Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, any other final thoughts?
Just that I think this is all really empowering,
Okay.
you know, because it gives us a framework
Yeah.
for understanding something
Right.
that can often feel really confusing and overwhelming.
Totally human behavior.
Human behavior, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, why are people so weird?
Right. Why are they acting like this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now we have some tools
Yeah.
to make sense of it all.
We have a little bit of a decoder ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can start to see the patterns
Wow.
and understand the motivation.
Yeah.
And that can make us feel more confident
Mm-hmm.
and in control
Yeah.
in our interactions.
Yeah. I like that. Well, hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I always love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Until next time.
keep exploring,
Keep exploring.
keep learning,
Keep learning.
and keep connecting with those amazing complex creatures we call humans.